Hi, and welcome back to my shop. In the last episode, I completed the glue up of the outside case of my wall hanging cabinet. What that does is it allows me to now go in and fine fit the shelves that'll go in the top. Each of those shelves needs to be notched so that it extends to within a ½ inch of the front of the case. And then I also need to fine fit the vertical dividers that separate the drawers in the bottom of the case. I've gone ahead and just slid in my top divider here for the drawer area. And I have my vertical divider stock here. And once again, I'm just going to resort to referential measurement because I find it's the most reliable. So I've just got the bottom of my divider stock slotted into that bottom dado. And then I'm just going to mark where the top of that dado hits. And then I'm going to go over to my table saw and just rip this piece to width. Now that I've got my stock cut to width, I can do a test fit here. And I'm finding that it's just a little bit snug. So what I can do is just fine tune the thickness of this piece using a hand plane. It's a quick and easy way of remedying this situation. With just a few passes of the hand plane, I can fit this in again. And I have a nice slip fit there, so that's perfect. Now, keeping in mind that this needs to actually slide in just about a ½ inch further once I notch out the front, I'm going to leave essentially about 5/8 of an inch because I actually want these to overhang past the front a little bit, so once I get these installed, I can sort of fine-tune them a little bit to match this curve. I've got my first divider already notched out, and I'll show you how I went about it. I've slid the other divider in as far as it'll go, and then all I have to do is take my marking knife and give myself a line where I'm going to cut to. That's kind of the most foolproof way of making sure you're cutting in the exact right spot. I went ahead and just darkened my lines to make them a little easier to see. And I'm just going to use a dovetail saw to cut these notches. Because this is actually a rip cut, the dovetail saw is the right choice for this operation. Because I'm removing such a small amount of waste here, I can actually do my cross cut here with a chisel rather than having to pull out my carcass saw for something this small. There we go. And then I could just square off my cut. Now, the best method I've found for then going and cleaning up right to my line is my router plane. Now, this is where it really would be handy to have a small router plane. Never bought one. I always kind of couldn't figure out what I would ever really use it for. Well, this is the answer to that question right here. Now I can just slide the piece into place, and I can see right away that I need to remove just a tiny bit more material, but I'd really prefer sneaking up on that line rather than blowing too far and then having a gap that's exposed on either the top or the bottom. So I just set the depth of my blade on the router plane slightly deeper, slide this in, and you can see right at the edge here, got a nice clean seam there, or joint. Now this does extend a little bit past, And that's by design so that I can clean this up a little bit and make sure to match that profile of the curved front. And the shelves are essentially going to follow the exact same process. So I've gone and slotted in my 3 shelves. I also numbered them 1, 2, and 3 on the back so that I would be able to keep track of A, where the front is, and B, which order they go in. The only real difference this time around is that my first cut is actually a cross cut. So I am switching to my carcass saw for this operation. And then my second cut is a rip cut, so I'm back to the dovetail saw. Well, that pretty much wraps up all of the joinery and construction for the casework itself. I do need to still go back and glue in the shelves as well as this divider and the vertical dividers for the drawers, but that can be something I do toward the end. In fact, I'll probably do some pre-finishing of the case before I actually put the drawers in, so I'm going to leave that till later. So with that being complete, I can now move on to the next part of the project, which is really the doors as well as the drawers that go in the bottom.